Throughout the history of R&B music, many artists have battled personal demons that affected both their careers and their personal lives. While some managed to overcome their struggles, others fell victim to the vices that haunted them. From devastating drug addictions to tragic downfalls, these 15 R&B artists face some of the harshest battles with substance abuse, often overshadowing their immense talent. This list highlights the worst junkies in R&B history, those whose addictions became as infamous as their music. Are you ready to listen to these tragic names? Let's get started. D'Angelo, an American singer, songwriter, multi-instrumentalist, and record producer, became one of the most influential figures in modern R&B through his ability to blend soulful melodies with innovative production. His musical talent extended beyond just singing. He could write, produce, and play multiple instruments, establishing himself as a versatile artist who helped reshape the genre. But while his professional achievements are well known, his personal struggles often overshadowed his career, especially during his rise to fame and in the years that followed. D'Angelo's journey to prominence began when he helped produce the song "You Will Know" for the R&B group Black Men United, which set the stage for his breakthrough. However, it was his first solo album, Brown Sugar, that truly changed everything. Released in 1995, the album became an instant hit, earning widespread critical acclaim. Brown Sugar was a massive commercial success, selling over 1 million copies and earning a platinum certification. Music critics praised the album for its innovative sound, which helped to redefine R&B by blending traditional soul with contemporary elements of hip-hop and jazz. This new style, often referred to as neo-soul, became a movement that influenced a generation of artists. D'Angelo's smooth vocals, introspective lyrics, and distinct production made him one of the genre's most influential stars. Despite his success, D'Angelo's journey to fame was not without its challenges. As he toured the world and gained popularity, he began to feel uncomfortable with how the music industry focused more on his physical appearance than his musical talent. The emphasis on his looks, coupled with the pressures of stardom, began to take a toll on him. After completing his world tour, D'Angelo retreated to his hometown of Richmond, Virginia, and disappeared from the public eye. It seemed like he was intentionally stepping away from the spotlight, perhaps seeking peace and a reprieve from the intense scrutiny that came with fame. In 2001, tragedy struck when D'Angelo lost his close friend, MTV affiliate Fred Jordan. The loss hit him hard, and D'Angelo spiraled into a period of deep personal turmoil. He turned to alcohol as a coping mechanism, and his struggles with substance abuse only intensified. At the same time, his record label, which had been eagerly awaiting a new album, became frustrated with his inability to complete new material. D'Angelo's addiction and personal demons made it difficult for him to focus on his music, and his once promising career seemed to be slipping away. In 2005, D'Angelo's life continued to unravel. His girlfriend left him, his family distanced themselves, and he parted ways with his managers. That same year, he was arrested for drug possession, and his mugshots shocked the world. The once confident, fit star was now overweight and looked broken. A car accident further exacerbated his problems, with rumors circulating that he had been critically injured. His decline seemed to be irreversible, and it appeared that his music career might be over. Amidst the chaos, D'Angelo made a crucial decision to seek help. He checked into rehab at the Crossroads Center in Antigua, a treatment facility founded by legendary musician Eric Clapton. This marked a pivotal moment in his life as he began the long and difficult process of recovery. The road to sobriety and healing would be tough, but it was a necessary step for D'Angelo to reclaim his life and eventually his career. Etta James was an American singer whose voice resonated deeply with audiences, a powerful instrument that could move people to their core. Known for its raw intensity and soulful delivery, her voice traversed genres from gospel and blues to jazz, R&B, rock and roll, and soul. Over the course of her career, James became one of the most respected and influential vocalists in American music. Her unique ability to infuse emotion and vulnerability into every song made hits like The Wallflower, At Last, Something's Got a Hold on Me, Tell Mama, and I'd Rather Go Blind, timeless classics that continue to echo through generations. James's journey to fame was marked by a combination of immense talent and equally challenging personal struggles. As a young woman, she was already immersed in the music scene, but her success was soon overshadowed by her battles with substance abuse. Heroin and alcohol became her constant companions, and they led her down a destructive path that would dominate much of her life. The grip of addiction took a toll on her career and personal life, influencing her choices in profound ways. At the height of her addiction, Etta James resorted to criminal activity to support her habit. She wrote bad checks, forged prescriptions, and even stole from her friends. Her addiction spiraled out of control, leading to serious legal consequences. In 1966, she was arrested for fraud and placed on probation, but by 1969, she violated that probation and spent 10 days in jail. For years, her life became a revolving door of rehab stays and relapses, with each attempt at recovery ultimately undone by her struggles with addiction. In 1973, James faced a major turning point in her life when she was arrested for heroin possession. The court, recognizing her addiction, decided not to imprison her, but instead ordered her to enter a drug treatment program. During her time in rehab, however, her battles continued. She became addicted to methadone, using it alongside heroin, and spent 17 months at the Tarzana Psychiatric Hospital, a period that proved to be a transformative yet painful chapter in her life. In her 1995 autobiography, Rage to Survive, James reflected on how those months, though difficult, helped her confront her demons and ultimately begin to turn her life around. Despite the progress she made during rehab, the path to sobriety remained elusive for James. After leaving treatment, she relapsed, falling back into the grip of addiction, especially after becoming involved with a man who also struggled with drugs. Her battle with substance abuse continued into her later years, with a particularly devastating moment in 2010 when she sought treatment for an addiction to painkillers. However, through it all, Etta James's musical legacy remained unwavering. Her voice, though at times shadowed by her personal battles, was undeniably powerful and enduring. She continued to perform and inspire, capturing the hearts of audiences worldwide with her soulful renditions of songs that became part of the American music canon. James's perseverance in the face of her struggles made her an iconic figure in the music industry, and her work continues to influence new generations of artists. Michael Jackson, often hailed as the king of pop, was one of the most influential and iconic figures in the history of music. His groundbreaking contributions to pop culture, music, and dance made him a household name worldwide. Jackson popularized revolutionary dance moves like the moonwalk, the robot, and the anti-gravity lean, captivating audiences with his impeccable rhythm and unique style. His music videos, including those for Thriller, Beat It, and Billie Jean, helped transform MTV into a platform that celebrated pop and R&B music rather than solely focusing on rock, and solidified his status as one of the greatest entertainers of all time. However, beneath the glitz and glamour of his success, Michael Jackson's life was marred by personal struggles, particularly with substance abuse. In the 1990s, Jackson's dependency on prescription drugs, especially painkillers and sedatives, began to take a significant toll on his physical and mental well-being. Jackson publicly acknowledged his addiction to prescription medications in 1993, explaining that painkillers had been prescribed to him after he underwent scalp surgery. But he also hinted at deeper emotional and psychological strains, mentioning the immense pressure of performing and dealing with false allegations of child abuse that left him physically and emotionally drained. This pressure, coupled with the intense demands of his career, pushed him to rely more heavily on medication. As the years passed, Jackson's struggles with drug dependency only worsened. By the time preparations for his highly anticipated This Is It tour began in 2009, Jackson was desperately seeking solutions to his sleep disorders, chronic pain, and emotional exhaustion. In his search for rest, Jackson began using a cocktail of dangerous substances, including benzodiazepines, drugs, and propofol, an anesthetic typically used in surgical settings. His dependency on these medications led to a further decline in his health, and he was no longer able to perform without the aid of these powerful drugs. Jackson's nurse, Sherilyn Lee, recalled a conversation where Jackson asked her for sleep aids. When she refused, he insisted that only propofol would work for him. Despite her warnings that it could have fatal consequences, Jackson dismissed her concerns, stating that he had used it before and believed it was safe. Tragically, this would prove to be a fatal decision. On June 25, 2009, Michael Jackson's life came to a heartbreaking end. His personal physician, Dr. Conrad Murray, who had been administering Jackson's medications, was overseeing his treatment that day. Police reports indicate that Murray had been giving Jackson propofol regularly to address his insomnia, but had recently become concerned about Jackson's growing addiction. That morning, after several other drugs failed to work, Murray ultimately gave Jackson a small dose of propofol to help him sleep. Unfortunately, this dose was fatal, and Jackson was pronounced dead shortly afterward. Dr. Murray was later convicted of involuntary manslaughter for administering the drug. Jackson's substance abuse extended far beyond propofol. He was also taking a range of other medications, including alprazolam, clonazepam, hydrocodone, paroxetine, carisoprodol, and hydromorphone. His access to these medications was facilitated by multiple doctors who continued to prescribe them, and it was revealed that Jackson had used as many as 19 fake IDs to obtain drugs. This web of enabling doctors and his desperate attempts to self-medicate ultimately led to his tragic death at the age of 50. Whitney Houston. Whitney Houston was a global superstar whose unparalleled talent and achievements in music and film solidified her as one of the greatest performers of all time. With a voice that transcended genres and captured the hearts of millions, she garnered countless awards, including multiple Grammys and American Music Awards. Yet behind the fame and success, Houston's life was marked by a painful and often public struggle with addiction that would ultimately overshadow her career. Houston's battle with drugs and alcohol began to take root during the height of her success. She became a household name after starring in the iconic film The Bodyguard, 1992, alongside Kevin Costner, which launched her into even greater fame. The success of the film, coupled with the birth of her daughter Bobby Christina in 1993, added tremendous pressure to her already demanding career. While she was at the peak of her fame, the personal pressures started to take a toll on her, and her relationship with drugs became more problematic. In a candid 2009 interview with Oprah Winfrey, Houston admitted that her drug use had started off lightly, but grew into a serious addiction as her career and personal life became more stressful. Despite numerous attempts at rehab, Houston was trapped in a cycle of addiction. She revealed that by 1996, her drug use had escalated to the point where it became an everyday habit, and the impact of her addiction was starting to show. Her family, including her mother, staged an intervention in 1999, urging Whitney to seek treatment for her escalating substance abuse, but at the time, she refused. Whitney later reflected on these struggles and said that the pressure of her fame and personal life contributed to her increasing reliance on drugs. By 2001, Whitney's appearance began to raise serious concerns, with her dangerously thin frame sparking rumors about her health. Her publicist attempted to downplay the situation by blaming stress and claiming Whitney simply wasn't eating enough. However, in her later interviews, Whitney admitted that the truth was much darker. drugs were the root cause of her weight loss and declining health. The infamous 2002 interview with Diane Sawyer provided a glimpse into her struggle, where she uttered the now famous words, "Crack is whack," as she tried to downplay the extent of her addiction. But in 2009, Whitney became more open and honest about her past, revealing in her interview with Oprah that her drug use was far worse than she had previously acknowledged. By that time, she had gone through multiple rehab stints and failed attempts to get clean. But the battle continued. Houston spoke about the toll her addiction had on her family, particularly her daughter, and revealed that in 2005, her family had to intervene again, this time legally forcing her daughter into rehab. Whitney continued her recovery journey, checking into rehab once again in 2011. She described this as part of her long-standing recovery process. However, despite her best efforts, the damage had already been done, and her struggles with addiction would ultimately claim her life. On February 11, 2012, Whitney Houston was found unresponsive in her hotel suite at the Beverly Hilton Hotel just hours before she was scheduled to perform at a pre-Grammy party. The cause of her death was later determined to be a combination of alcohol, cocaine, and prescription drugs. The toxicology report also revealed the presence of xylene, a substance that forms when cocaine and alcohol are combined in the body. Whitney Houston's tragic death at the age of 48 shocked the world, leaving behind a legacy of powerful music and unforgettable performances. Yet her struggle with addiction serves as a somber reminder of the pressures that accompany fame and the devastating impact that substance abuse can have on a person's life. Despite her challenges, Whitney's contributions to music, film, and culture will continue to be celebrated for generations to come, and her story serves as a cautionary tale about the hidden battles many face behind the spotlight. Natalie Cole. Natalie Cole was a remarkable artist whose legacy in the music industry was shaped by both her extraordinary talent and the tumultuous personal struggles she faced throughout her life. Natalie was the daughter of the legendary jazz pianist and singer Nat King Cole. She inherited his musical gifts and passion for performance, but her journey to fame was far from easy. Natalie's breakthrough came in the mid-1970s when she released her debut album, Inseparable. The album featured the smash hit, This Will Be, An Everlasting Love, which became one of her signature songs. The track's success catapulted Natalie into the spotlight, earning her critical acclaim and commercial success. The album's triumph was historic. Natalie Cole made history by becoming the first African-American and the first R&B artist to win the prestigious Grammy Award for Best New Artist. This was a groundbreaking achievement that marked the beginning of a promising career. Following Inseparable, Natalie released several more albums that solidified her place in the music world. Her combination of R&B, soul, and pop sensibilities captured the hearts of fans around the globe. However, despite her early success, the 1980s brought unexpected challenges that would shake the foundation of her career. By the early part of the decade, Natalie's professional life began to slow down. Behind the scenes, she was battling a growing drug addiction. In her autobiography, Angel on My Shoulder, Natalie revealed the harrowing extent of her drug use. She became addicted to heroin and crack cocaine, which consumed her life and led to a series of destructive choices. Her addiction spiraled out of control, and Natalie hit rock bottom. In her lowest moments, she resorted to working as a lookout for prostitutes to support her habit. She also recalled terrifying incidents that nearly cost her everything. One of the most chilling was when she was trapped in a burning building and refused to leave. Even more heartbreaking during this time, her young son, Robert, nearly drowned in the family pool while she was high. These traumatic events were a wake-up call for Natalie, who realized that if she did not make a drastic change, she would lose everything she held dear. In 1983, after hitting rock bottom, Natalie checked herself into rehab, spending 6 months in treatment. Her commitment to recovery marked a turning point in her life. With hard work and determination, she rebuilt both her personal life and her career. She released Dangerous, which was a step in the right direction. But it was her 1987 album Everlasting that truly marked her full comeback. The album became a commercial success, with the title track, a heartfelt ballad, becoming another one of her signature songs. Everlasting not only brought Natalie back to the top of the charts, but also re-established her as one of the most influential and respected artists in the industry. Kem. Before Kem became the renowned R&B artist known for his smooth vocals and soulful melodies, his life was far from easy. Kem's journey to success was marked by numerous challenges, including addiction, homelessness, and financial struggles. However, his determination to turn his life around, coupled with his deep faith, led him to overcome these obstacles and eventually become one of the most respected figures in the R&B world. Kem's early years were plagued by substance abuse, which took a heavy toll on his personal life and career. Like many individuals struggling with addiction, he faced a series of setbacks that kept him trapped in a cycle of despair. At one point, his addiction led him to homelessness, living on the streets with little more than the clothes on his back. Yet through it all, Kem never gave up on his love for music. It was his passion for singing and songwriting that gave him the strength to keep going despite his circumstances. He often spoke about how his faith in God helped him find the will to overcome his darkest moments. Determined to make a career in music, Kem began to take matters into his own hands. Without the support of a major label, he used whatever resources he had to fund his music career. One of his most notable methods was using his American Express card to pay for his first album, Chemistry. In addition to his card, he performed in a wedding band and worked as a waiter just to make ends meet while pursuing his dream. These early years were full of struggle and sacrifice, but Kem's perseverance and commitment to his craft paid off. He was willing to do whatever it took to make his music a reality, even if it meant working long hours in jobs unrelated to music. Kem's hard work eventually caught the attention of Motown Records, who signed him in 2001. This was a pivotal moment in his career, as it provided him with the platform and resources he needed to take his music to the next level. In 2003, Motown re-released his album Chemistry, which had initially been self-funded. The album became a huge success, selling over 500,000 copies and earning a gold certification from the Recording Industry Association of America, RIAA. The success of Chemistry marked the beginning of Kem's rise to stardom. His smooth, soulful voice resonated with fans, and his blend of classic R&B with contemporary sounds made him a standout artist in the genre. Kem's story is one of resilience and redemption. His early struggles with addiction and homelessness may have defined his past, but they did not dictate his future. Through faith, determination, and a relentless work ethic, he was able to turn his life around and become a beloved figure in R&B music. Today, Kem is known not only for his chart-topping hits and captivating performances, but also as an inspiring example of how perseverance can lead to success, no matter how difficult the road may seem. Donny Hathaway. Donny Hathaway was one of the most gifted soul singers and songwriters of his generation. Known for his deeply soulful voice and impressive keyboard skills, Hathaway made an indelible mark on the world of music. His timeless songs such as The Ghetto, This Christmas, Someday We'll All Be Free, and Little Ghetto Boy continue to resonate with audiences even today. Rolling Stone once called him a soul legend, and his legacy as a pioneer of soul music remains undeniable. However, beneath his incredible musical talent was a man grappling with profound personal struggles, battles that would ultimately take a tragic toll on his life. At the height of his career, Hathaway's mental health began to deteriorate. In 1971, doctors diagnosed him with paranoid schizophrenia, a a condition that would define much of his later life. This diagnosis was the beginning of a long and difficult journey for Hathaway, one marked by both physical and emotional pain. To manage his schizophrenia, Hathaway was prescribed multiple medications. At one point, he was taking as many as 14 different pills, which he had to take twice a day. While the medication helped control his symptoms at times, his condition remained unpredictable, and his behavior became increasingly erratic. Hathaway's mental health struggles were compounded by drug addiction, which exacerbated his already fragile emotional state. The pressures of the music industry, combined with the intense demands of fame, weighed heavily on him. Hathaway's situation was further complicated by his own inability to maintain stability in his treatment. According to his wife, Eulala Hathaway, when Donny began feeling better, he often stopped taking his medication. This cycle of improvement, followed by relapse, made it incredibly difficult for him to maintain his health, both mentally and physically. Between 1973 and 1977, Hathaway's mental health condition became so severe that he was hospitalized multiple times. Despite these challenges, Hathaway continued to be a highly respected artist, with fans eagerly awaiting new music. By 1979, he was working on a new album of duets and began recording with producers Eric Mercury and James Mattoom. At first, everything seemed to be going well. Hathaway's voice was as strong as ever, and his performances were as soulful and captivating as his fans had come to expect. However, things soon took a disturbing turn. Hathaway became increasingly paranoid, and his behavior became erratic. He began to believe that white people were plotting to kill him, and he became convinced that someone had connected his brain to a machine that was stealing his music and his voice. These delusions caused great concern among those around him, including the producers and musicians who had been working with him. Eric Mercury, one of the producers, decided to call off the session, worried that Hathaway's mental state had become too unstable to continue working. Tragically, just hours after the recording session was halted, Donny Hathaway was found dead outside New York City's Essex House Hotel. He was discovered lying on the pavement beneath the window of his 15th-floor room, and the police reported that he had jumped. His death, ruled a suicide, shocked the music world and left many of his fans and colleagues heartbroken. Hathaway was only 33 years old at the time of his death. Donny Hathaway's life and career were cut short by the debilitating effects of mental illness and addiction. Despite the challenges he faced, his music continues to inspire and influence artists today. His work remains a testament to his incredible talent, and his legacy as one of soul music's greatest voices endures. Al Green. Al Green is widely regarded as one of the most influential and beloved soul singers in music history. Known for his smooth voice, emotional delivery, and heartfelt lyrics, Green rose to fame in the early 1970s with hits like Tired of Being Alone, I'm Still in Love with You, Love and Happiness, and Take Me to the River. These songs, with their combination of soulful melodies and poignant lyrics, helped define the sound of 1970s soul music and solidified Green's place as one of the genre's legends. However, Green's path to fame was not without its struggles. Born in 1946 in Forest City, Arkansas, Green had a complicated relationship with his father, who was deeply religious. His father's strict beliefs often clashed with Green's growing interest in music, particularly secular artists like Jackie Wilson. The tension between Green and his father came to a head when his father discovered him listening to Wilson's music. As a result, Green was kicked out of the house and left with nowhere to go. He moved in with a woman who worked as a prostitute, and during this time, Green became involved in a dangerous lifestyle, hustling to survive and experimenting with drugs. In addition to his troubled personal life, Green faced multiple legal issues and accusations of violence. In 1974, his former secretary, Linda Wills, accused him of assault, claiming that he had pushed her through a glass door during an argument over unpaid wages. The case was eventually settled out of court, but the incident highlighted the personal turmoil Green was dealing with at the time. A few years later, in 1977, Green was involved in a violent altercation with his former organ player Larry Robinson in Texas. Robinson alleged that Green and his bodyguards attacked him over a financial dispute. Both men were arrested but only faced misdemeanor charges. In 1978, Green was accused again, this time by a woman who claimed he had beaten her unconscious with a tree branch. However, this case was dropped when the woman failed to appear in court. Amid these personal and professional struggles, Green's life took a dramatic turn in 1974 after a tragic event. His girlfriend, who had been living with him, died after shooting herself. This traumatic experience deeply affected Green, leading him to reevaluate his life. Seeking solace and spiritual guidance, he became an ordained pastor and turned to gospel music. In 1976, he founded the Full Gospel Tabernacle Church in Memphis, Tennessee, and began focusing on spreading the gospel through his music. He dedicated several years to his church and gospel music, producing powerful spiritual songs that reflected his newfound faith. Despite his deep commitment to gospel, Green eventually returned to secular music in the 1980s. In 1988, he teamed up with Annie Lennox to record "Put a Little Love in Your Heart" for the movie Scrooged. The song became a massive success, marking his first top 10 pop hit in over a decade. Green followed this success with the release of "The Message Is Love" in 1989 and even recorded the theme song for the short-lived TV show Good Sports in 1991. These successes demonstrated that Green's powerful voice and enduring appeal still resonated with audiences, even after years of focusing on gospel music. Though his life has been marked by personal struggles, including legal issues and the tragedy of losing his girlfriend, Al Green's musical legacy is undeniable. His transition from secular soul music to gospel and back again is a testament to his resilience and his ability to evolve while maintaining his unique sound. Today, Green is remembered not only for his incredible music, but also for his journey of redemption and spiritual growth. His songs continue to touch the hearts of fans worldwide, and his influence on soul and gospel music remains profound. Charlie Wilson. Charles Wilson, widely known as Uncle Charlie, is a legendary figure in the world of R&B, with a career that spans several decades. As the lead singer of the Gap Band, Wilson helped define the sound of funk and soul during the late 1960s through the 1980s, contributing to some of the biggest hits of the era. Tracks like "Outstanding," "You Dropped a Bomb on Me," and "Early in the Morning" became anthems of the genre, blending infectious grooves with Wilson's unique vocal style. Following the disbandment of the Gap Band in 2010, Wilson continued to build on his legacy as a solo artist, earning numerous accolades, including 13 Grammy Award nominations and 11 NAACP Image Award nominations, winning 2. In addition to his musical success, Wilson received the Soul Train Icon Award and the BMI Icon Award, 2 of the highest honors in the music industry. He was also named Billboard's #1 adult R&B artist in 2009 and 2020, a testament to his enduring relevance and influence in the genre. His hit song, "There Goes My Baby," was the top urban adult song of 2009, marking a peak in his solo career and proving that his powerful voice and soulful sound still resonated with audiences. However, Wilson's journey to success was far from smooth. During a particularly challenging period in the mid-1980s, the Gap Band's fortunes took a downturn. In 1986, the group severed ties with their manager and lost their publishing deal. Though they still had a contract, they struggled to find new management, leaving them in a financial and professional limbo. With no clear path forward and facing mounting pressures, Wilson turned to drugs and alcohol to cope with the stress. What began as an attempt to escape from his troubles spiraled into a full-blown addiction. He later admitted to using a variety of substances, including cocaine and crack, losing control and deteriorating physically. "I was doing it all, cocaine, crack, all of it, getting high all the time, he recalled. The addiction ravaged his body, causing him to lose so much weight that he was reduced to about 130 pounds, a figure that left him unrecognizable to those who knew him. For nearly 2 years, Wilson lived on the streets of Los Angeles, surviving by any means necessary. He would roam the streets at night to avoid being seen and hide during the day. He ate whatever he could find, sometimes showering in public sprinklers to maintain some semblance of hygiene. He was ashamed of his situation and refused to ask for help, yet even when he did reach out, those he turned to for assistance declined to help. Wilson's downward spiral continued unchecked, and it seemed as though his career and life might be over. That is, until he encountered Mayhin, a drug counselor who would become his wife. With her support, Wilson was able to get sober and begin the slow process of rebuilding his life. Mayhin's love and encouragement were the turning point in his battle with addiction, and she played a pivotal role in his recovery. Gradually, Wilson returned to music, working tirelessly to rebuild his career and his reputation. His comeback was nothing short of remarkable, as he not only regained his health, but also regained his place at the top of the R&B world. Jackie Wilson. Jackie Wilson, often referred to as Mr. Excitement, was one of the most influential performers in the history of rhythm and blues, and a key figure in the development of soul music. With his electrifying stage presence, dynamic dance moves, and powerful voice, Wilson captivated audiences around the world. He began his career as a member of the R&B group Billy Ward and his Dominoes, where his standout vocals first caught the attention of the public. However, it was when he launched his solo career in 1957 that he truly made his mark on the music scene. Over the course of his career, Wilson recorded over 50 hit songs, with 16 reaching the top 10 on the R&B charts and several making their way to #1 on the pop charts. His versatility was evident as he seamlessly blended rock and roll, soul, and doo-wop, making his music accessible to a broad audience. His groundbreaking songs, such as Lonely Teardrops, To Be Loved, and Your Love Keeps Lifting Me, Higher and Higher, became anthems of the era, and his influence on the development of soul music cannot be overstated. Wilson was a pioneering figure, inspiring countless artists who came after him. However, despite his immense talent and commercial success, Wilson's personal life was marked by turmoil and tragedy. Behind the scenes, Wilson's life was fraught with difficulties. He was heavily involved with the mafia, which controlled aspects of his career, adding a layer of complexity and danger to his already hectic lifestyle. In addition, he found himself entangled in financial troubles, particularly with the IRS, which further compounded his stress. On a personal level, Wilson had 3 marriages, numerous affairs, and struggled with addiction to alcohol, amphetamines, and cocaine. While his drinking was widely regarded as his biggest problem, his drug use became increasingly severe in the later years of his life. The greatest tragedies in Wilson's life came in the 1970s, starting with the heartbreaking loss of his 16-year-old son, Jackie Jr., who was shot and killed near their home in Detroit in 1970. This devastating event sent Wilson into a deep emotional spiral. He withdrew from performing and, in an effort to cope with the overwhelming grief, turned to alcohol and drugs. However, more sorrow followed. In 1977, Wilson's daughter Sandra tragically died of a heart attack at the age of just 24. Then, in 1988, another devastating blow struck when his other daughter, Jacqueline, was killed in a drug-related incident in Highland Park, Michigan. These losses took a severe toll on Wilson, both emotionally and professionally. As the years wore on, his energy, once boundless and unstoppable, began to fade. His once thriving career faltered as he struggled with personal demons and the weight of his grief. Despite this, Jackie Wilson's legacy as one of the greatest performers of all time remains intact. His contributions to music, particularly soul and R&B, are still revered, and his influence on artists across genres is undeniable. Yet the pain and hardships he faced off stage served as a tragic counterpoint to the incredible success he enjoyed in his professional life, leaving behind a legacy that is both inspiring and heartbreaking. Gerald Levert. Gerald Levert was not just the son of Eddie Levert, the iconic lead singer of the O'Jays, but also a towering figure in the world of soul and R&B music in his own right. Music ran deep in his veins, and Gerald carved out his own legendary career as a powerhouse singer, songwriter, and producer. From an early age, it was clear that Gerald had a passion and talent for music that transcended being the son of a musical legend. He became known for his deep, soulful voice, emotive delivery, and ability to capture the hearts of listeners. Gerald first gained widespread recognition as a member of the R&B group Levert, which he formed alongside his brother Sean Levert and their childhood friend Mark Gordon. The trio was known for their smooth harmonies, catchy melodies, and rich, soulful sound. They released a series of successful albums in the late 1980s and early 1990s, with hit songs like Casanova and Baby I'm Ready cementing their place in the R&B scene. As his fame grew, Gerald's career evolved in exciting new directions. He joined forces with fellow R&B stars Keith Sweat and Johnny Gill in the supergroup LSG, where the three smooth-voiced crooners made magic together. Their self-titled album, LSG, was a major success, combining their talents to create some of the most memorable slow jams of the era. Beyond his work with Levert and LSG, Gerald also enjoyed a successful solo career, releasing 9 solo albums that featured chart-topping hits like I'd Give Anything, Funny, and Baby Hold On to Me. His ability to cross seamlessly between heartfelt ballads and up-tempo tracks made him a versatile and enduring artist in the R&B world. Gerald's influence in music extended beyond his own projects. He was instrumental in discovering and mentoring emerging talent in the industry, working with groups such as the Rude Boys, Men at Large, and One of the Girl. His contributions to the genre were significant, not just as a performer but as a key figure behind the scenes, shaping the future of R&B music. However, despite his professional success, the pressures of the music industry began to take a toll on Gerald's personal life. In an effort to cope with the stress and demands of his career, Gerald turned to drugs, initially as a way to manage the physical and emotional strain. What began as an attempt to deal with the pressures of his fast-paced life slowly became a dangerous addiction. This habit, combined with the physical toll of numerous past injuries and surgeries, eventually led to tragic consequences. On November 10, 2006, Gerald Levert was found unresponsive in his bed at his home in Cleveland, Ohio, at the age of 40. Initially, it was believed he had died from a heart attack. However, the autopsy revealed a different cause. Gerald had died from an accidental overdose. A toxic mix of prescription painkillers, anxiety medications, and over-the-counter drugs had built up in his system, including drugs like Vicodin, Percocet, Darvocet, and Xanax, along with 2 antihistamines. His family tried to shift the focus away from the role drugs had played in his death, explaining that the medications had been prescribed to him to help him manage chronic pain. Regardless of the circumstances, his sudden and untimely passing left a void in the music world. Gerald Levert was not just a talented performer. He was an artist who made a lasting impact on R&B and soul music, and his loss was deeply felt by his fans, peers, and the industry as a whole. His music continues to resonate, and his legacy remains a testament to his incredible voice and influence in the world of soul music. Dave Prater. David Prater Jr. was a pioneering figure in the world of Southern soul and R&B music, known for his deep, resonant baritone and his powerful tenor voice. As one half of the legendary duo Sam and Dave, alongside Sam Moore, Prater helped shape some of the most influential and memorable songs in soul music history. The duo, often described as the most successful and critically acclaimed soul partnership of all time, fused the passionate energy of black gospel with the mainstream appeal of pop music. Their iconic songs, including Soul Man, Hold On, I'm Coming, and I Thank You, were recorded during their time at Stax Records in Memphis, Tennessee, between 1965 and 1968. The music they created together at Stax became the gold standard for Southern soul, with its call-and-response vocals and fiery energy that made it feel like a rousing sermon in church, set to music. Songs like Soul Man were not just hits. They were anthems that resonated deeply with audiences, becoming a staple of the soul genre. Their music carried the urgency and fervor of gospel, but with a distinctly secular edge that captured the complexities of the human experience. However, the duo's success came with its own set of challenges. Despite the chemistry they shared on stage, Sam and Dave had a tumultuous and often strained relationship. Their dynamic was often fraught with tension, and this friction played a role in their eventual breakup. By June 1970, after a string of hits and an undeniable impact on soul music, Sam and Dave officially parted ways. The end of their collaboration marked a turning point in both their careers. Following the split, David Prater Jr. attempted to forge a solo career, hoping to maintain his presence in the music industry. He returned to Elan Records in Miami, but his solo work never achieved the same level of success as his time with Sam and Dave. He struggled to find his footing and performed sporadically, never able to recapture the magic of his earlier collaborations. During this period, Prater also faced personal demons, including a growing struggle with drug addiction. Despite his wife's belief that he was overcoming the addiction, his problems continued to persist. In 1987, Prater's struggles with substance abuse led to legal troubles. He was arrested for selling crack cocaine to an undercover officer and later pleaded guilty to the charges. The court sentenced him to 3 years of probation, a fine of $2,580, and required him to complete 150 hours of community service. His wife remained hopeful that he could overcome this setback, stating that while the addiction had taken hold of him, he seemed to be working through it. Tragically, just a year after his arrest, David Prater's life was cut short. On April 9, 1988, he died in a car accident, a devastating loss for his family, fans, and the music world. Though his solo career was marred by personal struggles, his legacy as part of Sam and Dave lives on in the soulful, electrifying music they created. His voice, once a powerful force in the soul music scene, continues to influence artists to this day, and his contributions to Southern soul will never be forgotten. Amy Winehouse. Amy Winehouse was an English singer-songwriter whose unique voice and musical genius captured the world's attention. Known for her deep, expressive contralto vocals, she was hailed as one of the most talented artists of her generation, able to blend genres like soul, jazz, reggae, and R&B into a sound that was distinctly her own. Her raw, emotional delivery and ability to infuse vulnerability into her music made hits like Rehab, Back to Black, and You Know I'm No Good resonate deeply with fans. Amy's talent and success were undeniable, but her personal struggles, marked by addiction, mental health issues, and turbulent relationships, cast a shadow over her career. As her fame grew, so did her battles with substance abuse. Winehouse's relationship with drugs and alcohol became public, and her struggles were often played out in the media. At the height of her career in 2007, she was hospitalized after what was described as an overdose involving a mix of heroin, ecstasy, cocaine, ketamine, and alcohol. This incident led to the cancellation of several performances in the UK and Europe, and Amy became increasingly known for her erratic behavior. She openly admitted to battling depression, self-harm, and eating disorders, adding to the complexities of her already tumultuous life. In an interview after the overdose scare, Winehouse reflected on how close she had come to losing everything, saying, "I really thought it was over for me then." Her addiction not only had physical consequences, but also career setbacks. In 2008, Winehouse made headlines when she failed a drug test and was subsequently blocked from attending the Grammy Awards in the U.S. It was a devastating blow for an artist who had become an international sensation. Despite the chaos surrounding her, those who knew Amy personally saw a different side. Fellow singer Lily Allen once remarked that although Amy had struggles with drugs, she was also a clever, intelligent, witty, funny person who can hold it together. This side of Amy, often obscured by the headlines, was part of her complex personality. In 2008, Winehouse made a commitment to stop using illegal drugs. She told an interviewer in 2010, "I literally woke up one day and was like, I don't want to do this anymore." This marked a brief period of sobriety in her life, and for a time, it seemed she had broken free from the grip of addiction. However, alcohol would become her next challenge. Amy would remain sober for weeks at a time but would relapse again, unable to break free from the pull of her vices. In 2009, a leaked video showed her allegedly smoking crack cocaine, which led to her arrest. She was later released after the police could not confirm what substance she had been using, and the Crown Prosecution Service ultimately dropped the case due to a lack of evidence. Despite these legal and personal struggles, Winehouse's fans and friends continued to support her, hoping she could find peace and stability. Tragically, Amy Winehouse's battle with addiction and mental health issues came to a devastating end on July 23, 2011, when she passed away at the age of 27. The cause of death remained a topic of speculation. While some believed she had succumbed to a drug overdose, others pointed to a combination of substances that led to her untimely demise. In the aftermath of her death, her legacy became a tragic reminder of the fragility of fame, the pressures of addiction, and the deep complexity of the human spirit. Despite her short life, Amy Winehouse's music continues to inspire and influence artists around the world, and her voice remains one of the most distinctive in modern music history. Samuel Moore. Samuel Moore, more famously known as Sam Moore, was a legendary figure in the world of soul and R&B music, whose extraordinary vocal talents and charismatic stage presence made him one of the most iconic performers of his generation. Best known as one half of the dynamic duo Sam and Dave, Moore's career spanned 2 decades, from 1961 to 1981 and beyond. His contributions to the music industry left an indelible mark, and his powerful voice was a defining element of some of the most memorable tracks of the 1960s and 1970s. The pairing of Sam Moore and Dave Prater created one of the most successful and influential duos in the history of soul music. Their synergy, vocal chemistry, and electrifying performances propelled them to fame, especially with hits like Soul Man and Hold On, I'm Comin'. These songs, along with their many other chart-topping records, cemented their place in musical history. Sam's voice was nothing short of a force of nature, rich, emotional, and compelling, and he became an inspiration to countless musicians who followed in his footsteps. Throughout his career, Moore was recognized with numerous accolades that underscored his monumental influence on the music world. He was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, the Grammy Hall of Fame, the Vocal Group Hall of Fame, and the National Rhythm and Blues Hall of Fame. These honors were testament to his undeniable legacy and the impact of his work, both as part of Sam and Dave and as a solo artist. Despite his success, Moore's life was far from easy. Behind the shining moments of fame and fortune, he faced immense personal struggles that threatened to overshadow his career. Among the most harrowing moments of his life was his survival of a shooting in the 1970s, which was the result of a jealous husband's violent actions. This traumatic incident was only one example of the turbulent nature of his personal life, which also included time spent in jail and a long, painful battle with addiction. Heroin became a dark cloud over his career, especially during the height of Sam and Dave's success in the late 1960s and early 1970s. Moore himself acknowledged in 1986 that his addiction had cast a shadow over what should have been the most prosperous years of his life. The strain of addiction also played a significant role in the eventual unraveling of his partnership with Dave Prater. In 1970, the duo's professional relationship began to sour, and by the time they briefly reunited in 1971, their former magic was hard to recapture. Moore's struggles with heroin and cocaine intensified, and despite the production of the 1975 album Back at Chai, which was produced by Steve Cropper of Booker T and the MGs, the album failed commercially. Unfortunately, the duo's career never quite regained the heights it once achieved, with two subsequent albums in 1981 also struggling to find success. However, in 1982, Moore took a crucial step towards reclaiming his life and his career. While on a European tour, he met Joyce McCrae, who would become his wife and manager. Her love, support, and unwavering commitment helped him overcome his addictions, providing the stability he so desperately needed. With Joyce by his side, Moore was able to find his footing again in the music industry and resume performing. Their partnership not only helped him rebuild his career, but also allowed Moore to continue sharing his gift with the world. He later performed with legends such as Elton John, Bruce Springsteen, Phil Collins, and Mariah Carey, further cementing his place among the greats of soul and R&B music. Bobby DeBarge Jr. Bobby DeBarge Jr. was a gifted American musician, best known for his role as the lead singer of the R&B group Switch. His incredible falsetto, a high, soulful voice that could soar with emotional depth, made him one of the most distinctive voices in the genre. His ability to convey passion and beauty through his music earned him a devoted fan base, and his work with Switch, a group that blended elements of soul, funk, and R&B, remains a testament to his vocal prowess. As a member of Switch, Bobby helped define the sound of the late 1970s and early 1980s, contributing to the group's success with hits like There'll Never Be and I Call Your Name. In addition to his success with Switch, Bobby DeBarge's musical journey extended to mentoring and producing his younger siblings' band, DeBarge. His involvement with the group went beyond just being a mentor. After Elle and Bunny DeBarge left DeBarge, Bobby even stepped in as a member, helping to keep the band's legacy alive. His talent and dedication to music shone through in every project he took on. But beneath the surface, Bobby's personal life was plagued by struggles that often overshadowed his professional achievements. From a young age, Bobby DeBarge battled heroin addiction, a fight that would follow him throughout his life. Despite numerous attempts to get clean, the powerful grip of opioids continued to pull him back into the cycle of substance abuse. His addiction, which began in his youth, eventually led him down a dangerous path into drug trafficking. In 1988, Bobby and his brother Chico DeBarge were caught attempting to smuggle over 2 pounds of cocaine from Los Angeles to Michigan. Their plan was foiled when airport security discovered the drugs during a routine inspection at Detroit Metropolitan Airport. As a result, Bobby was sentenced to 5 years in a Wisconsin prison. While incarcerated, Bobby had time to reflect on his life and the choices that had led him to this point. He made a promise to himself that once he was released, he would turn his life around. After serving his time and being released in 1993, Bobby made a concerted effort to rebuild his career. With the support of music industry figures Bernard Listers and Ed Wright, Bobby began recording new music, including songs he had written during his time in prison. In August 1995, he released It's Not Over, an album that reflected his determination to keep going despite the obstacles he had faced. However, despite his outward efforts to rebuild, Bobby was fighting a much deeper battle behind the scenes. During his time in prison, he had been diagnosed with HIV, a reality he shared with his family but kept largely private. By 1995, Bobby's health had deteriorated significantly, and the physical toll of his illness became apparent. In his final months, Bobby retreated to California to lie low and focus on his health before ultimately returning to Michigan to be closer to his family. As his condition worsened, his loved ones made the difficult decision to send him to a hospice in Grand Rapids, Michigan, where he could be surrounded by family in his final days. On August 16, 1995, Bobby DeBarge passed away at the age of 39 due to complications from AIDS. His untimely death was a tragic end to a life filled with both incredible talent and deep personal struggles. Despite the hardships he faced, Bobby's musical legacy lives on, and his contributions to the R&B and soul genres continue to inspire artists today. What do you think about these stars? Leave us your comments in the section below. We hope you have found this helpful video. Don't forget to leave a like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you like it. Thank you for watching this and see you in the next videos. Goodbye.